G'day guys, Isaac here, and today I'm doing a quick tutorial on how to take your multi-level Dungeon Alchemist maps and make them work with Foundry version 13's levels plugin. I know that version 14 of Foundry is going to have its own built-in levels module, however, until that's fully released I won't be updating this video, so for now, this is just for the version 13 levels plugin. So, anyway, what we're going to start with is already having a multi-level map ready to go. So this is one that I've created myself. It has an underground level, and today I'm not going to do every level because it's very time consuming, but I'm going to show you the process on how to do it yourself and the steps involved. So, the things you're going to need first, obviously, a multi-level map in Dungeon Alchemist. Second, an image manipulator of some sort, maybe GIMP or Affinity. I personally am a lifelong Adobe user, as much as I hate giving them money. Photoshop is my tool of choice, and so that's what I'll be using for this demonstration today. We need this because of a lack of transparency export for the upper layers, but we'll get into that later. Finally, the last thing you need is your VTT, which is, today, Foundry. So, let's get things started by exporting this map. What we're going to go and do is go to export. We want to select Foundry export because that's what we're doing. We want a JPEG because we need to edit this in a photo editing program. We want the perspective to be orthographic because we need each layer to align as we go up. We want to export our lights only to the VTT because if we render them in the image, then we can't actually turn them off in Foundry. So, if we export only to the VTT, we get full lighting control without it looking weird on the map. We're going to do high quality because we don't need 300 DPI, and these maps already look beautiful at 150 DPI in Foundry. You're streaming this, most likely, to players over the internet, so you do want to actually keep your file size down. We're leaving tokens off, export with no borders, color, and we're going to do all layers plus roofs. Make sure your grid is turned off. Foundry has its own grid, and because we're going to be stacking layers on layers, we want to use the built-in grid rather than trying to align a pre-rendered grid. So with all of this selected now, we're going to export. Once you've exported, we're not actually done in Dungeon Alchemist yet. We could be, but to speed things up, there's actually a really cool trick that a lot of people like to use, which is changing your terrain to green screen background. Now you'll see why in a moment. Once we have this green screen background, we're going to go back to export. We're going to do all of the exact same settings, and when we export, we're going to create a new folder inside called green screen. And we're going to save it in there. Now let's move over to Photoshop and I'll explain why we've just done that. Okay, so what we should have from our exports now are all of the levels of our map plus a corresponding JSON file, and then inside that folder, another folder with a green screen folder. Now, I've already gone ahead and done some of the work here to speed things up, but what you should have is the exact same set of files in both folders. The difference is, one of them will have this green screen layer. So now let's move over to Photoshop, and what we're going to do is we're just going to take our roof level, because that's the only one I'm going to show this demonstration on today, just to keep things nice and quick, and we're going to import that to Photoshop. Now, what we need to do is remove anything that isn't the topmost roof. So, all of this green, anything on the ground, these gardens, and even roofs lower than our current roof level. So if your buildings have a roof at level 2 and level 4, you do not want your level 2 roof on this level. So there are a few ways we can go ahead and remove this stuff. And the neat trick here is because we've used this green screen background, it's going to be much quicker. We can go to the select tool, press the color range button, and use the eyedropper tool to click the green. You want to boost your fuzziness quite high, just to sort of get sharper edges, and we're going to hit OK. Now what that's going to do, that's not going to delete anything yet, that's going to select everything green of that color in this image. Now, before we hit delete, you need to go over to your layers in the bottom right here and unlock this layer. If you don't unlock this, when you go to delete it, it will try and fill in everything that you delete. We don't want that. We want to delete everything that isn't a roof. So we're going to hit delete now, and you'll see this checkerboard grid show up. Now this checkerboard grid represents that there is nothing underneath this layer. The checkerboard is essentially a void. It is emptiness. It's non-existent. So, with that in mind, now that we have all of these ground level elements, like the fencing and the stairs and these grates, we're just going to go in with the eraser brush tool and we're going to remove them. Because all of these elements don't exist on our roof level. We do not need them and we do not want them. Now I have a bit of a soft brush, so I'm going to increase the hardness here so we don't get any fuzzy feathering on the edges, making it look weird. And we're just going to remove anything that we need to. A tip for Photoshop users, if you hold shift as you go in a direction up and down, it will lock it to that direction. So even if you move your mouse over this roof, it's going to create a clean cut line here. So these are little tips and tricks that do speed up this process, which I think are quite necessary because if I'm honest, it is a tedious process. And now that that's all cleaned up, what we have is our final roof layer. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to save that as a PNG. We're going to save that in a new folder inside green screen called transparent. Now, the reason we're separating these is just to avoid confusion. Now, we want to make sure, again, we're saving this as either a WebP or a PNG. I'm just going to do PNG because it's what I've been working with, but WebP is actually a much more compressed file and does work with Foundry, so it would be a fantastic option. But anyway, for the purpose of demonstration, let's save that and move to Foundry. Okay, so now we've opened Foundry, and before we open our world, what we want to do is make sure we've gone into Foundry's plugin modules, searched for the levels plugin, and actually installed and activated it. Because it's not built in, this is a plugin, we need to make sure we do this, otherwise when we open the world and go to do all this, none of it's going to work because the plugin won't exist. So, once you've done that and reloaded the program, we're going to open our world and create a folder for a new map. We're doing a new folder because we need to create a scene for each layer of our map inside that folder. So it's just really nice and easy if it's all contained into one place. So to start with, I'm going to create my ground layer inside that folder. Now, today, I'm only going to be showing you the ground level and the roof to demonstrate how to build these rooms. I'm not going through and doing each level. If you are doing more than just the ground level and the roof level, you need to make a scene for each level. So today, I'm just doing the two, but if you're doing more, do more. To begin with, we've got our two scenes now. We're going to right-click one of them and press Import Data. We're looking for a JSON file, which is one of the files that Dungeon Alchemist exported when we saved our map as a Foundry export. So I'm going to find my base level, my ground level with ground level rooms, which for me is 1_03, and I want the JSON file that's next to it that's named the same thing. So I'm going to select that and import it. Now what this file has is all of your wall data, your window data, your doors, and your lights. So your scene works correctly with all of the data that you have in Dungeon Alchemist without having to actually export those lights baked into the JPEG. You can control them in Foundry and use its really awesome system where you get the full interactivity. So once you've got that imported, you're going to either right click or double click that scene, which should rename itself to match your JSON file. So you want to go to background image and you want to select the corresponding JPEG image next to that JSON file. So for me, 1_03 JPEG is what I want, and I'm going to save that. And now we have our scene. And if I wanted to just quickly show you, we have our doors working with the light shining through exactly as it's supposed to work, which is just really cool. Now that we've done that, we're going to do the exact same thing for our roof level with one small change. The JSON is exactly the same, but you remember that step where we went into Photoshop and created a transparent export? Well, that's where this comes in handy. We're going to go find that transparent folder and select our transparent roof layer. We're going to save that, and that's created our 2 scenes here. However, we still haven't actually done anything with the levels module to tell levels how to work. So we want to be on our ground level scene, come over to the left here, and open levels. It'll open this floating menu window, and you're going to hit add a new level. You want to do this for each level you need to create. You're then going to press edit levels, and then you're going to set the height of level 1 to 0 to 10. Now we're setting 10 because that's the wall height level. So each level will go up in an increment of 10. Once you've set your wall height to the correct height, you want to press edit level again to save it. From there, we have our levels set up in terms of height, but what we don't have is any information for that to know what to do with. So, this is the cool part. We've already set up our scene, so what we're going to do is we're going to drag that scene already being highlighted on the level it's going on, and we're going to drag it onto there. It's going to come up with a warning, and we're going to hit yes, and now we have our first level set. We're going to select the next level, and we're going to do the same thing, dragging that level on. We're going to press yes when it comes up with the warning, and now we have our 2 levels. And if you click through them, you can actually see how it's all working now in the one scene. We're not done though. Due to some strange bug, if I grab a token here, and I place it on the roof, and I set the elevation to 40 where it's on the roof, it's still being limited by the windows and the doors below, even though they're not actually below. And that's because in our roof level, we still have the wall data. So what we want to do is we want to go to the rectangular select tool, making sure we're on that roof level, and we want to select all of these walls, and we're just going to delete them. Once we've done that, if you've set all of your levels, and you've made sure, going through each level, that the wall data is correct, and you don't have duplicate data, you can hit close, and you're pretty much done. You're ready to play. You can drag and drop another player onto the ground level, walk them into a room on the ground level, and as you'll see from this player, they can't see that player now. They're under a roof. But this player, what they see is this room. So imagine you're playing online with your friends across the world, and you're seeing enemies come out of a room that previously was just a roof. It's such an immersive way to play your game. And there are more features to this that I'm not setting up today because I don't really want to get into that. There are plenty of channels that go through the more nitty-gritty of how the levels tool works. This is telling you how to import a Dungeon Alchemist map into it. For further guides, please look up other things. An important one to look at is place regions as stairs. This allows you to place shapes over your staircases that will automatically transition you between levels. That's where the feature gets complicated though. For just the base ability to walk around the map and have it all work seamlessly, literally all we need is a transparent export. So to make that, that's what this guide is for. Anyway, I hope this has helped anyone, and if it has, give us a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next guide. See ya!